So hello there everyone and welcome, it is Niran here, and today it is time for me to bring you a brand new video. And before we get into it quickly, I know the audio aesthetics may have changed slightly and I probably sound a lot more echoey. I've moved basically. I'm now living in uni accommodation in comparison to where I was before, so that's the reason for that. I'm going to try and get some padding to prevent the echoing or whatever. Anyway, that's completely not the point of this video, but I thought I'd mention it regardless. Today, more things have happened in regards to FIFA 18. Yesterday, well not yesterday, yesterday as I'm recording it, the day before yesterday as it's uploaded, we saw some career mode news and I presented it to you and you guys absolutely smashed the support. The day after that, EA decided, well you know what, we're just going to go ham. We're going to release the Journey news as well. So obviously the Journey, the new game mode for FIFA 17, they've changed it a lot. They've progressed it a lot further forward going into FIFA 18. It's called the Journey. Alex Hunter Returns, I think is what it's called. It's pretty generic as far as sequels go and its titling, but again, I'm not here to critique that. I'm merely here to bring you the news that has been put forward, and there's a hell of a lot of it. But if you go on to enjoy the video, slap a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I don't know what the goal is before FIFA 18, to be honest, but we're just going to ride the wave, because at the moment it's going pretty well. Anyway, so, first thing, I'm going to obviously have screenshots in the background. I'm not going to necessarily talk about the screenshots, because you can decipher them yourselves, but I'll obviously put screenshots in the background that are relevant to what I'm talking about. So, yeah, make that aware. Anyway, main thing on the EA website is that there's now a star-studded, well, no, this isn't the main thing, but the first thing is that there's now a star-studded cast. I mean, there was quite a lot of people in the Journey already, but now there's a lot more, and I'll tell you the reason for that, and that is because the Journey is now not secluded to just the English League. So obviously on FIFA 17 you could only play in the Premier League barring your loan spell in the Championship with either Norwich, Newcastle or Aston Villa. Now you can actually go, now I'm not sure if you can go anywhere in the world, in fact I'm pretty much confident you can't, but I know you can definitely go to La Liga, the Bundesliga, or I think the MLS as well was an option. I also saw a screenshot of Alex Hunter wearing a PSG kit, so I imagine you can go to the French League. Don't think I saw him in an Italian kit, so that might be a bit up in the air, but I can't see why not. So I imagine you can either stay in the EPL, you can go to Spain, France, Germany, I imagine Italy. I think that would be a bit strange if you couldn't go to Serie A, but I don't remember seeing that in the trailer and the MLS if I didn't mention that. So there's the first thing. There's the big, massive thing. Alex Hunter goes global. You can now use him in any of the big leagues. You don't have to just be confined to the Premier Leagues. That's the main thing. It starts off really with some sort of transfer saga basically, where Alex Hunter's agent I think has leaked some sort of footage of him in a Real Madrid kit. That's how the trailer starts, and then obviously I'm guessing from there you can choose whether you stay in the Premier League or whether you go elsewhere. Not much of the story has been revealed realistically, apart from you can end up spending time in other countries and in other leagues. That's the main thing. But yeah, the cast is far more extensive, I guess, purely because of that. So you've now got like Cristiano Ronaldo, who's obviously the main sort of poster boy for the game, Antoine Griezmann, Thomas Muller, but then on top of that you've also got Dele Alli and Rio Ferdinand, I suppose, in terms of representatives for the English League. Thierry Henry is also in it, Gaizzy Zardes from the MLS playing for LA Galaxy, he's in it. There's far more people in it than that as well. I'll be having, again, screenshots in the background of all the famous faces that are involved in the Journey. So that's one thing to mention, but of course the main thing is Alex Hunter can now play in leagues other than the Premier League, which is what one thing people were definitely calling for after FIFA 17 was just sort of confined to the Premier League. Another thing people were looking for is that now your choices matter, and that is the case supposedly for FIFA 18. You don't just get like a linear sort of storyline anymore that has a defined end, either two ends. Apparently there was two endings. I think there was actually two endings, but you either get one of those two endings. Not the case anymore. The actual choices you make often on the pitch in terms of interviews and how fiery you are and how cool you are and your relations with certain people do actually affect how your story goes. So each one is going to be quite unique, which means for us YouTubers, we've actually got a chance of sustaining viewership for longer than about 7 minutes, because people are going to know that it can potentially change. You're not going to just be getting a recycled version of someone someone else's journey, if you know what I mean. Each thing is going to be different. I think that's going to be a good way of keeping retention levels. People are going to be invested in the game mode if they know that their outcome isn't going to be the exact same thing as somebody else's. It's why people play other game modes, because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what's around the corner. So that is a good one. And again, I can understand why it wasn't in FIFA 17. FIFA 17 was their first attempt at the journey, and having choices that matter, I imagine, is actually something that's quite difficult to put into the game. It's quite time-consuming, creating cutscenes for every possible outcome or whatever. So I can understand that, but it's good that they've now brought that in. You can now also customize Alex Hunter as well. Again, something that was massively asked for, although a lot of people were hoping for full customization, aka creating your own player, creating your own name, face, characteristics, attributes, strengths, weaknesses, whatever. I imagine that's going to come at some point, but for now it seems like EA are fully focused on just having this story of Alex Hunter. I can't imagine they'll do that next year either, because I think at least this will be at least a trilogy, and then after that maybe you'll be able to create your own player. But for now, it's seeming as if it's going to revolve around just Alex Hunter for this FIFA, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't the case for FIFA 19 as well. But at least you can now customize him. You're allowed to change his haircut, you're allowed to give him tattoos now, so that's pretty sick. I imagine that means you'll be able to put tattoos on players in pro clubs as well. I imagine that would make sense. If you can put tattoos on a player on the journey, then I imagine that you can now create players on pro clubs who have tattoos as well, because you couldn't do that before, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So you can change his haircut, you can change tattoos, clothing, accessories, and also, interestingly, his dominant foot. So if you're a player who likes striking stuff with your left foot when you're playing like solo player on the game, then I mean you can change him to being left-footed, or you can have him as right-footed. It doesn't really matter, but I think he'll still have the same base attributes and overall in every version of the journey. It's just those things that will change. So that's pretty good. So far we've got that he can play in different leagues, your choices now matter, and you can actually customize the guy. So already this is looking pretty good. This is already there's a lot more depth here than we had on FIFA 17 already. Now interestingly as well, you've got new playable characters, so you can actually do short standalone stories with playable characters from the journey. And the screenshot they included of this was the guy, I can't remember what his name was actually, but the guy who at the start was just a dickhead, but by the end he was actually quite a sound guy. It's him. And so I imagine it also works with Gareth Walker, who was the guy who was obviously at the start Alex Hunter's best mate, then they fell out, blah blah blah, whatever, spoiler alert there, but I'm pretty sure every single person on the entire planet has played the journey on FIFA 17 by now. So yeah, this is quite an interesting one actually. So you can do like different little storylines in between, like little spin-offs if you like, basically is a way of describing it, with the other characters from the journey. It's quite a cool idea. I don't know how long these are going to be. I don't know how long they're going to be in comparison to the storyline of Alex Hunter, whether they're actually implanted into the journey with Alex Hunter, like you actually have to do these, or whether they're just like little sort of, almost like, I don't know, like what skill games are to usual FIFA, where you can just sort of do them to pass the time, they don't really affect the actual storyline, or whatever. There's not really much more depth on that, unfortunately. Moving on from that though, we've got sponsorship deals. There's new sponsorship deals. I think on FIFA 17, the journey, you could sign a sponsorship deal with Adidas. I don't know what the whole thing is. I don't know all the list of sponsors you can have on FIFA 18, the journey, but you can certainly be sponsored by Coca-Cola, because in the trailer he gets handed a contract from Coca-Cola to do with sponsorship, which is pretty sick. And that actually sort of opened up a question from a lot of career mode guys as to whether that's going to lead to sponsorships on actual just traditional FIFA 18 career mode. But well, probably not FIFA 18 career mode, otherwise we would have heard about it by now. But potentially going forward, because obviously we've seen that the technology put into the journey for FIFA 17 has ended up in FIFA 18 career mode. So let's hope now that the technology that we see in FIFA 18, the journey, or the ideas we see in the journey for FIFA 18, then end up in FIFA 19 career mode, because I think having sponsorship deals would be quite cool in career mode. But that's something that's also been introduced into the journey. You can also now play with your friends in local multiplayer. I believe that's if you're in the same room, isn't it? So it's split screen, I think, as far as I'm aware. You can now play the journey basically with your mates. So if you're sat in the living room, you don't have to just use one controller. Someone can control one player, and then someone else can control Alex Hunter, and then someone else can can control someone else. So yeah, you can sort of play with your mates now, and you can sort of go through the journey whilst also playing with your friends, which is quite cool. The final thing as well, which is sort of the last sort of, I mean, it's not really a new feature, but it's something that EA described, and it's that basically the journey is a tour of the footballing world. I know, that sort of like glitter that they just sprinkle on at the end. Apparently you can do 5-a-side games in Brazil, apparently that's part of the storyline, pre-season tours in LA and games across Europe, and you're also able to play in multiple competitions. You're not just, again, you're not confined to just like the domestic league. I imagine what that means is you can play in your country's cup, so aka if you're playing in Germany for Bayern Munich or something, you can compete in the Deutsche Pokal, or if you're in La Liga, you can also compete in the Copa del Rey. I don't know whether that means that you can play in the equivalent of the Champions League or Europa League, depending on who you've signed for. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Obviously, it's not licensed, so it would be the Champions Cup and the Europa Cup, is it? Is the Europa League called the Europa Cup? I can't really remember, to be honest with you, but yeah, so basically, I don't know whether you'll be able to play in those, but you can certainly play in more than one competition. And the 5-a-side thing in Brazil might be quite fun. Hopefully that's something you don't just do once, because that'll be almost like introducing a little bit of FIFA Street into the game mode as well. But that is basically it. That was a lot of things. I apologise. There was a hell of a lot of things, actually. The journey seems heavily expanded, and I would love to know what your thoughts are in the comments section, because a lot of these things that have been included here are things that we wanted straight away. As soon as we saw that this game mode was coming on FIFA 17, everybody was like, okay, yeah, cool, but we want customization. Okay, yeah, cool, but we want to play in different leagues. Okay, yeah, cool, but we want our choices to matter. And that is exactly what EA have now supposedly done. So I'll have to wait and see whether what they've added does actually really make the game mode better. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that these sort of additions aren't really going to change things? It's still going to be quite linear, or are you happy that EA have invested more time into the journey? Maybe you guys are annoyed that this is getting more priority over career mode. Let me know whatever your thoughts are in the comments section. If you've enjoyed the video, then slap a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. The trailer, the link to that is in the description if you want to go and check that out. It's on EA's YouTube channel. Probably should have mentioned that at the start. There was probably an annotation on the screen though, at least, or a card in the top right of the screen. Finally, you can also follow me on Twitter. My handle is at the official FNG. I almost got that wrong. And you can now also follow me on Instagram. I got that recently, and it is the same handle, the official FNG. So go and check that out. Links to that in the description. I'm done plugging, so that is pretty much it from me. It has been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.
Yo, Massapeals. I roll out with some monsters. Looks like your team and you watchers. I do not roll with imposters. Sound like the man in the Oscars. I'm drunk off Henny and Fosters. I have a career, I am jobless. This bitch f me so hard, I might just end up unconscious. I like girls in lingerie, especially if it is crotchless. Bitch, I am the bigger picture. There is no way you can crop it.